How could you do this to me? She must leave, Abram. I cannot look at her.
Hagar ran into the wilderness with nowhere to go. Alone and broken, she cried out to the God who still saw her. But in that lonely place, God was not far away. Then the angel of the Lord found her beside a spring in the wilderness. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Hagar, where have you come from, and where are you going? Return to your mistress, for the Lord has heard your affliction, and will greatly multiply your descendants. Hagar returned to Abram's household, carrying within her the child God had promised. And the wilderness had taught her one truth: the God who sees her would not forsake her. Sarai saw that Hagar was with child, and her heart became troubled. Tension grew between them, and Hagar was deeply hurt. Hagar returned to Abram's household, and in time she gave birth to a son. Abram named the child Ishmael, just as the Lord had instructed.
You are so precious.
Look, he's walking.
He runs so fast now.
God appeared to Abram, established his covenant with him, and changed his name to Abraham, promising that he would become the father of many nations, and that God would be with his descendants. God promised Abraham that nations and kings would come from him, and that his descendants would inherit the land of Canaan. God gave Abraham circumcision as the lasting sign of his covenant with him and his descendants. He also changed Sarai's name to Sarah and promised that she would become the mother of nations, and kings would come from her. Abraham fell face down before God in wonder, as the Lord promised that Sarah would have a son. His name would be Isaac, and God would establish his everlasting covenant with him and his descendants. Abraham then pleaded for Ishmael, asking that he might live before God. And the Lord promised to bless Ishmael, make him fruitful, multiply his descendant. Abraham obeyed God's covenant and circumcised every male in his household as the Lord had commanded. Then one day, as Abraham sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day, he looked up and saw 3 visitors standing nearby. He hurried to meet them, bowed before them, and welcomed them into his home. He hurried to prepare a meal for them while Sarah prepared bread. Then he stood nearby as they ate.
Where is Sarah, your wife? She is inside the tent.
The visitors told Abraham that Sarah would have a son the following year. Sarah heard the promise and laughed to herself because she and Abraham were both advanced in age. But the Lord reminded her that nothing is too difficult for him. Then the visitors turned toward the cities of the plain, and Abraham learned that the Lord was going to judge Sodom. Abraham pleaded with the Lord, asking that the righteous not be destroyed along with the wicked. 2 visitors arrived at the city of Sodom, and Lot saw them sitting near the city gate. He welcomed them into his home and offered them food and a place to rest. But that night, the men of the city surrounded Lot's house and demanded that the visitors be brought outside. The visitors protected Lot and struck the men with blindness so they could not find the door.
Come on, we have to leave. The
Then
Lord is
they
going to
warned
destroy the
Lot
city.
that the city was about to be
He is
destroyed
only
because of
joking.
its wickedness.
Do you really believe him? Get up and take your family! Quick! We must leave! Do not look back!
But Lot pleaded to flee to a small nearby town called Zor, and the angels allowed him to do so. Lot's wife could not let go of the city she had left behind. She stopped and looked back. And as she turned toward Sodom, she was transformed into a pillar of salt. Lot and his daughters stood in shock and sorrow, but they continued toward Zor, leaving the destruction behind and carrying the memory of that terrible morning with them. At last, Lot and his daughters found refuge in a secluded mountain cave. Far from the cities they once knew, they settled there.
Our future is uncertain. But we will do what is necessary. Father, please wake up!
Oh?
Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father, and each gave birth to a son, Moab and Ben-Ami.